global news update on top accolade news. The headlines. Sussan Ley becomes Australia's first female Liberal Party leader. China denies responsibility for US fentanyl crisis. Beijing sentences ex-energy chief for graft in high-profile case. Trump embarks on Middle East mission. We'll start with the focus in politics. Sussan Ley becomes Australia's first female Liberal Party leader. Sussan Ley has been elected as the first female leader of Australia's Conservative Liberal Party following a major election loss. Ley, a former Outback pilot with 3 finance degrees, acknowledged the party's struggles to connect with women voters and vowed to address economic and tax reform. She also highlighted the need to adapt the party's policies to reflect modern Australia. This leadership shift follows Prime Minister Anthony Albanese's second-term swearing in after his Labour Party's victory, which was fueled by a backlash against global instability linked to the Trump-era policies. Moving to economy, China denies responsibility of U.S. fentanyl crisis. China has firmly rejected the U.S. claim that it is responsible for the inflows of fentanyl into the United States, labeling the issue as a domestic problem for Washington. Speaking at a press conference on Tuesday, Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Lin Jian criticized the U.S. imposition of 20% tariff on Chinese goods, describing them as unreasonable. This comes on the heels of trade talks in Switzerland aimed at easing tension between the two global powers, with the U.S. maintaining its stance that China has not done enough to curb the fentanyl epidemic in America. Still in economy, Beijing sentences ex-energy chief for graft in high-profile case. In China, former chairman of the state-owned China National Petroleum Corporation, Wang Yilin, has been sentenced to 13 years in prison for bribery and fined 3 million yuan, or about $416,000 US. Wang, who also led China National Offshore Oil Corp and retired from CNPC in 2020, was previously expelled from the Communist Party following an investigation that found he accepted high-value assets and abused his position to benefit others in project contracts. The ruling underscores Beijing's continued crackdown on corruption within state-owned enterprises. Moving to international relations, Trump embarks on Middle East mission. President Donald Trump is on high-stakes tour to the Persian Gulf this week, visiting Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and Qatar in a bid to secure $3 trillion in investment deals and strengthen strategic ties. The trip, Trump's first major foreign mission on his new term, comes amid stale nuclear talks with Iran and ongoing conflict in Gaza. While economic diplomacy is the focus, geopolitical tensions loom large. Trump is expected to discuss defense, AI, energy, and a possible Saudi nuclear deal, though Israeli normalization remains off the table. The visit signals a stark shift from Biden-era policies, with Trump lifting tech export restriction and reaffirming U.S. presence in the region. You're watching the Global News Update on Top Accolade News. Do stay with us. Still to come. Thanks for staying with us. In conflicts, US and European diplomats hold talks ahead of possible Ukraine-Russia meeting. US Secretary of State Marco Rubio held a high-level call on Monday with European and Ukrainian diplomats to coordinate efforts towards a ceasefire in Ukraine, the State Department confirmed. The call included top officials from France, Germany, Poland, the UK, Ukraine, and the EU. It comes as Ukrainian President Zelensky voiced support for President Donald Trump's push for direct talks with Russia, saying he's ready to meet with Putin in Istanbul on Thursday. Trump hinted he may attend the talks if progress seems possible, while Moscow has yet to confirm Putin's participation despite ongoing discussions with Turkey. Still in conflict, Modi warns of strong response to future attacks as India-Pakistan ceasefire holds. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi has issued a stern warning of a strong response to any future terrorist attacks following a deadly 4-day military standoff with Pakistan. Speaking for the first time since the violence erupted over a militant attack in Kashmir, Modi said, "This is not an era for war, but it is not an era for terror either," doubling down on India's position with trade and terror cannot coexist. A US brokered ceasefire agreed over the weekend has so far held as both neighbors engage in block channel talk and military de-escalation, despite each side claiming victories and heavy losses in last week's cross-border strikes and shelling. Moving to entertainment, Tory Lanez stabbed 14 times in California prison. Canadian rapper Tory Lanez has been hospitalized after being stabbed 14 times in a California prison where he's serving a 10-year sentence for shooting rapper Megan Thee Stallion. The attack occurred on Monday morning at the California Correctional Institution, leaving Lanez with serious wounds to his back, head, face and torso, collapsing both lungs. According to a statement on his Instagram, the 32-year-old is now breathing on his own and in a stable condition. Prison officials says an investigation is underway, though no motive has been disclosed. Now in sports, Carlo Ancelotti named Brazil's new head coach. Carlo Ancelotti, one of football's most decorated managers, will become the new head coach of Brazil's national team after departing Real Madrid at the end of the season. The Brazilian Football Confederation confirmed on Monday. The 65-year-old Italian, who has won major titles in all of Europe's top 5 leagues, will begin his duties next week, preparing Brazil's squad for the upcoming World Cup qualifier. Ancelotti's move ends a long courtship by Brazil following a disappointing run since the 2022 World Cup. He is set to become the world's highest paid national team coach. That concludes our global news update for today. Stay tuned for more global news and development. Thanks for joining us. I am Majot Okocha. Connect and engage with us on all our social media handles. Do have a wonderful day.